This video is about how Sefaira uses assumptions when creating new projects to try and create as realistic a starting point baseline for your project as possible. To begin with, I'm going to start with the plugin and what happens in the plugin when we upload from the plugin to the web app. In the plugin, you'll see that there's a series of properties under here and also a building type at the top of the page. What happens in the plugin is that when you choose a building type and a location, those two items combined are used to determine which HVAC system is going to be used on the project. You can click this link within the plugin to find out how those HVAC systems are chosen. We tried to do as straightforward a selection as possible and choose the most typical systems that are used in different environments that we could. Choosing the space use will also, choosing the building type will also preset some of the values that are in this slider range down here. Specifically, it will adjust space use properties like ventilation rate, equipment, and lighting. There's another template object here, which is called the baseline template, and this is a feature in the plugin that lets you remember or choose from a series of template options. And for ASHRAE, it chooses climate zone, and it will apply baseline properties for the materials and also for the internal equipment and lighting space uses for your project. Now, this is very important to understand because if you choose a building type and then you choose a baseline afterwards, or if you choose a building type and then you change the internal conditions afterwards, then when you upload your model to the web application, you may end up having some conflicting information in the web application. The other thing that's worth remembering is that then all of the material properties, which are these properties here, these are all carried through into the web application from the plugin when you upload the project. Hopefully that's fairly straightforward. So when I upload this model to the web application, I'm going to find that I now have a new options screen. I'll create a new web app project. And in this new web application project creation screen, you'll see that you can give it a name. The site address has been pulled from the plugin. The building type has been pulled from the plugin. And the space type is the Sefaira space type that's associated with that building type. Now, as I mentioned before, this space use isn't going to be exactly the same as the plugin values if you've selected school in the plugin, but then selected other things or changed things in the plugin. These values may be different, and so your results may be different. Okay. The other thing to remember is that the site address and the building type will determine the HVAC system for your web application project in exactly the same way that they determined the HVAC system for the plugin project as well. So once I give this a name, uploaded project, I will get a new project which will have the building properties imported from the plugin, the space use properties associated with the building use type, or with the space use type, and an HVAC system associated with the building type and the climate zone. So what you'll see here is that these properties for the envelope are exactly the same as the values that I used in the plugin. The HVAC system has been based on the fact that it's a school in Chicago. And the space use properties here are based on the school's plugin default space use values. So hopefully, in most cases, you shouldn't have any trouble uploading your project and getting very similar or comparable results to the results in the plugin. The only other difference that is always the case between the plugin and the web application is to do with zoning. In the web application, we always start with a perimeter core zoning. And as of the 15th of January in the plugin, we use a 1 zone per floor zoning in the plugin. We're considering changing that. I'll show one more thing because this is quite important for understanding as well. There are ways to change space uses or to create your own space uses. So if I decided that my type of school would have 50 square feet per person instead of 43, I could save that as a new school. I'll call it School Andrew. And that would be an option then when I created my new project, I would be able to choose from School Andrew rather than School Plugin. Of course, that increases the chances that the results will be different for your starting project compared to the plugin. So just be aware of that. Let's go now to our projects page and look at what happens when we create a project from a template model. So in Sefaira, you can also create a project from a template model, which is creating a project from some geometry that's already been uploaded to your page. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Create a project with an existing model, and I'll use the uploaded project that I've just uploaded as that geometry to use. You'll see again, we still have the same welcome screen. Again now, because it doesn't have any starting site address, obviously it hasn't come from the plugin, there hasn't been any analysis yet, I will have to choose a site address. So in this case, I could say select London, England. And now it will choose an HVAC system type based on the fact that I'm in London and it's an office. If I change the building type, it will change the space use type, but of course I can choose from a range of different space uses, including the Andrew School, which I just created just now. The only other difference is that because it's not coming from the plugin, we give this project, hang on, let me just create the project, new project from existing massing. We don't have any materials to reference to for the new from existing massing. So what Sefaira uses is very conservative, or actually quite poor, building material properties for the first simulation. So these are, I guess, worst case building material properties, perhaps not worst case, but not very, very good material properties, so that the first simulation will be fairly conservative. You can choose a template like the ASHRAE 90.1 templates from the drop-down list to pre-populate those, reset those values to an ASHRAE templated value. And you'll see here that because we chose the project to be in the UK rather than in the United States, it's created a fan coil unit system rather than a VAV system. And that's all there is to it. I hope this has been a helpful video.